Here's special counsel Jack Smith holding a
fake name.
Right, Jack Smith. Dan is doubtful of that.
I think it's a false identity.
Where he's laying out the charges. And by the way, can I say that this man looks like Adam 22? Does anyone else see it?
Oh my God, kind of.
Oh,
but
wow.
you're also disrespecting Jack Smith right now.
Okay, respect.
Put
I don't want to
respect on him.
Maybe Jack Smith is just an alias of Adam 22.
Jack
He
Smith
looks
does have
so
such a
much
fake
like
name.
him. Well, we got to.
saying.
What's that dude who fucked Adam's wife?
Jason Love.
We got to get Jason Love to come pound his wife.
His wife is a documentarian. Made a
Oh, really?
documentary about Michelle Obama.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
Fantastic.
bias. Get him out of here.
Yeah.
that's true. That's a wow.
Yeah,
that's
he
a
was
problem.
prosecuting war criminals in The Hague. So,
So at any rate, here is Jack Smith, if that is your real name.
Good evening. Today, an indictment was unsealed, charging Donald J. Trump with conspiring to defraud the United States, conspiring to disenfranchise voters, and conspiring and attempting to obstruct an official proceeding. The indictment was issued by a grand jury of citizens here in the District of Columbia, and it sets forth the crimes charged in detail. I encourage everyone to read it in full. The attack on our nation's capital on January 6th, 2021, was an unprecedented assault on the seat of American democracy. As described in the indictment, it was fueled by lies. Lies by the defendant targeted at obstructing a bedrock function of the U.S. government, the nation's process of collecting, counting, and certifying the results of the presidential election. The men and women of law enforcement who defended the U.S. Capitol on January 6th are heroes. They are patriots and they are the very best of us. They did not just defend a building or the people sheltering in it.
Got some chatters thirsting
They
for Jack
put their
Smith.
lives in the line.
You like
to
how he
defend
looks?
Who we are as a country.
I think he's
and
an
as a people.
attractive guy.
He's projecting like
They defended the very institutions
power
and
and
principles that
stability.
This is definitely
strength.
he has the vibe of somebody you don't want to get
Since the attack on
prosecuted
our
by.
capital,
Yeah,
you know
no,
what I mean?
he-
Like he's like
Justice has remained
the
committed
archetypal like, oh, you're fucked.
accountability.
Yeah, he looks
player.
like one of those like OG Mormon G-men, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where he's just like he doesn't drink and he's like very, very strict
Super
and very
serious dude.
meticulous about all of the data that he gathers. Like he definitely has that aesthetic to him.
Yeah.
The first thing I thought when I saw him was like, this guy's got to be scared shitless because
Court and judge.
there's going to be so many psychos wanting to fuck
Nah,
with
I
him
don't
now.
even- You know his ass is running marathons too. Like he's like that type of dude who wakes
He's not
up
going to
at
get
5
hammered in
a.m.
the dome like Nancy's husband.
What? Oh, no.
You think he'll?
No, he'll bust some ass.
Okay.
Also, he lives in the Netherlands. What are they gonna do?
He does?
Yeah.
Oh, they can't
Or
get him there.
Usually, well, not right now, probably for the.
I hope he
duration of
has
this-
like security though, because there are some real freaks out there.
Yeah, I imagine.
As well as the many career prosecutors and law enforcement agents.
All right,
from around the
shout
country.
out to Jacket Off Smith for doing something really brave and really difficult.
He's pretty matter of fact about it. So I've been thinking a lot about this, about my main man Donald Trump getting indicted so many times despite doing everything right.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, obviously the deep state pedophiles are coming after him.
Right.
You know, because they're jealous of his power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you're right. I do think that there is a lot of fatigue around this. I do
Yeah.
think that it's not as entertaining. The first time it was like, whoa, that's crazy.
Listen,
like we kind of blew a
people
load.
Like us are loving it, but people who could be potentially persuaded by this are over it. I think.
Yeah, I feel like it's just contributing to a depressive. It's depressing voter turnout, and it's going to contribute to having like probably very low voter turnout in general.
In 2024, you're saying?
Yeah, unless they keep some of the mail-in ballot initiatives from COVID, which Republicans have been actively trying to undermine, which genuinely makes it easier for people to vote. Unless they do that, it's most likely going to have a chilling effect. It's most likely going to cause people to not vote because you're just like, ugh, I don't care. Like, fuck Trump.
Yeah.
Joe Biden is old.
Yeah.
Nothing is like, there's nothing here for me.
The question is, does it depress turnout for Trump more than it does for Joe?
Press?
Depress.
Depress.
Like, who do you think is more like worn out on politics by all of this? Like Trump's base, or
I think it's
or
the
Democrats?
I think it's the moderate Republicans
Right.
who are like potentially swayable, but they're going to be like, this is just a joke. They're like,
They'll
you
just
know.
stay home. They won't vote for Biden.
They might
They'll
not
just be
vote,
like, eh.
or they'll vote for Trump because they think that it's a hit job on him.
Right.
By the way, these are the charges of the new indictment.
It's just, when I look at Fox News coverage of this stuff, it is like understandable why the Trump base is just seemingly on a different planet.
Yeah, totally.
No, the way they cover it is just so absolutely nutty. I just
They're like, this is like Nazi Germany government takeover, going after our legal opponent, our political opponents.
Yeah. And
Stalin.
the worst part about it, I mean, I guess it's not the worst part about it, but like the one funny issue here is that like they fucking know. They know.
Right.
They know.
They know from like leaked documents.
Yeah, they know. They just very openly and very deliberately lying to their audience over and over and over again so that they can brainwash them into being servile little hogs that will go out and vote. But ultimately, I think there is a ironic situation here with like why you should vote for Trump. Now it's basically turning into like vote red no matter who. Like, you know how Democrats have the vote blue no matter who initiative that they implement every election cycle. This is the most important election of our lifetimes. This is the most important election of our lifetimes. Like, I'm seeing a lot of Republicans do that as well now. Rather than vote for something, owning the libs, or I don't know, banning abortion or whatever the fuck, they're like, no, you gotta vote, or else they'll throw Trump in jail.
Do you think this is the most important election of our lifetime?
No,
I
don't. I think all elections are important in a similar capacity, but ultimately I think the American government is on autopilot, and it's like either marginally going to be worse and the lever is going to be cranked in one direction only to have Democrats seize control of all facets of government and never crank it in the other direction, or it's just going to keep going more and more right-wing.
Yeah, I wonder what's the worst thing Trump could do in office. I mean, George Bush kind of outdid him by a lot.
Yeah, well, yeah.
He's like, yo, I don't think people really understand what a murderous fucking genocidal freak he was. His administration.
His administration, yeah.
He killed like 1 million civilians.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's like one of the big genocides of human history.
It has largely been memory hold. It's pretty wild.
It's true.
Genocide.
People will get. That's a controversial take. You know that, right?
What's wrong about it?
Liberals will get mad at you for saying
A
that.
lot of liberal, yeah. I mean, a lot of people think Trump's like the worst president ever. And
Yeah.
Wait. What about what I
he's up
said
there.
is
Everything that you said is objectively and demonstrably correct.
so? But why would they be mad about that statement?
Because recency bias and also Orange Man bad.
What
They
they're
literally-
mad that I'm not saying Trump is the worst president of all time. Oh,
And
They
also,
care that much
and
about
frankly,
that?
because I think
he is horrible.
a lot of liberals supported the Iraq War. You know what I mean?
Yeah, post 9/11, liberalism
well, to be
is
fair,
very
they
different.
were lied to by George Bush.
Yeah.
They were
but
lied to.
He was like, "There's a nuke."
You didn't have to take the bait. Though.
They were lied
know?
to. 9/11 is like
listen.
a massive scar for the American psyche that like genuinely changed the way that back in the day there used to be at least like, you know, anti-war liberalism. That's gone. Like, doesn't exist. Doesn't exist whatsoever in the Democratic
I'm not
Party.
super. Listen, I understand that liberals who voted for it, because it's great if you did it, and I think that's an incredible badge of honor. But when the administration's like, we have evidence that they have nuclear bombs, and then you go there and they're like, actually,
The thing is,
they don't really have anything.
Contemporaneously, there were people pointing out the flaws in all of this,
Yeah.
and they just didn't listen.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Because there were Democrats that voted no.
Yeah.
But not all Democrats went for it. But for example, Joe Biden voted for the Iraq War.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. The fact that that's not just like automatically disqualifying as
It's
like, a
interesting
Democrat
because
is crazy to me.
It's interesting because it was, though. Barack Obama hammered Hillary Clinton
Right.
in 2008 for her decisions. But then Barack Obama, for 8 years, with all of his charisma, basically continued the exact same war on terror bullshit. He ran on closing Guantanamo Bay. He did not do that. He actually
He made it Secretary of State.
Yeah,
that is funny. That is
yeah.
A good
He then
point.
also increased troops in the surge. And
Hey, lady, who I'm accusing of war crimes, you want to be in charge of our foreign policy?
yeah,
Yeah.
So
That's
you
pretty
know
epic.
that's.
And pussy too.
And then after
pussy too.
that, I think after that, liberals completely tapped out of like ever being contentious towards war. They just are now, you know, they eat State Department propaganda hook, line, and sinker. There's no critique. There's not really any.
During the Trump years, there was a little bit but it was more just the reflexive whatever Trump's doing is bad. Than
Yes.
like any kind of critical. thinking.
Absolutely.
But
Liberals are very reactionary in that sort. In that regard.
People forget there's been some really terrible presidents. Like, what was this guy? He's widely held to be the worst. It's there was this one guy who was like, what's his fucking name? I'm trying to find out. Was it Harding?
Harding is considered a pretty awful one.
Like, some of these dudes literally did fucking nothing but like drink and give contracts to their friends, and well, it's not that different than Trump, frankly.
Yeah, I was about to say,
Yeah,
it's not
it
that
sounds
different
like
than most modern, most contemporary presidents. The only difference is like liberals at least abide by civility standards to a certain degree, like Democrats do it in a professional manner, but and Republicans usually do it in a professional manner as well, where Trump was very brazen with his corruption and very open about it, and he was like, yeah, what are you going to do about it? Like, this is how the system is. This is how it's supposed to be. I'm not doing anything weird.
Or was it Hoover? I don't know. There's a lot of shitty presidents.
Hoover was president. What do you call it? Around the time leading up to the Great Depression, and a lot of people point to him for that kind of stuff.
He's the man.
But
We love
generally, most of the worst presidents are generally considered to be the like 3 or 4 that led up to the Civil War, which it's kind of hard to argue against that, seeing as what the outcome of their administrations.
You might say they dropped the ball.
They dropped the ball a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see. Here's the charges against Trump. Conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy to impede the January 6th congressional proceeding, conspiracy against the right to vote and to have that vote counted, obstruction of an attempt to obstruct and impede the certification of the electoral vote. There it is. That's
And there
4
it is.
charges. So that'll be fun to see. But yeah, I don't know what's going to be the outcome of this. I mean, I really don't. You know, there's just too much apathy or frankly, disbelief, paranoia, propaganda. I don't know.
Do you think that he's going to get convicted? Because I
Honestly,
feel
I
like
have
it's
no
a different
idea.
conversation once that starts happening. Like I agree. Like the indictments, it's like people are worn out on because it's like, yeah, he's arrested again. Nothing's happened. But you know, if he gets found guilty,
I
for
don't
some
know
of
that
stuff,
these
I don't
people
know.
will change their mind.
I'm really.
I don't think it'll change mine, but I think it'll be more of what Hassan was saying of just like depressing turnout. You know what I mean? Just disheartening them to the extent that they just don't even bother.
Will he
I had
get?
no
will he
idea.
get arrested? I have no idea. I genuinely
I
don't.
had no
But he's
idea.
Not
facing
arrested,
like
but, like,
100 years
convicted.
in prison.
It was like a crazy amount of years, right?
Yeah, this
I'm
one
really-
specifically is like 50 years, 40 years, something. Let's see.